I'm going to spoil everything in this review because there are definitely points of this movie that can be pretty easily spoiled. If you haven't seen the movie yet, see it now. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. Rogue One was great on its own, but think about how fortunate we are to have these things that we love so much be fleshed out in a respectful but totally modern way with a completely fresh level of detail. Classic TIE fighters and X-Wings, Star Destroyers, Stormtroopers, all these things we love are alive on screen again. That alone is worth it. But to top it off, we got an excellent film worthy of the Star Wars name. Looking at the film as a whole, I'm not sure if I can rightly give it a ranking compared to the other Star Wars films, but I will say that it's one of the few Star Wars movies with absolutely nothing that legitimately annoyed me or was objectively insulting to my sensibilities. Like many viewers, I was at first disoriented by the first act of the film, jumping around to different planets and different characters with hardly any context, but after watching the movie a second time and knowing where everything was going and who everyone was, I thought the first act was actually pretty strong. I loved the slightly unethical tinge they give the rebels. It really shows just how desperate the struggle against the Empire is. I really don't think it was necessary to jump around to some 4 different locations before we get to Yavin 4 in the story proper, but I think it's a colorful and creative way to set up the story, just at the expense of a stronger sense of cohesion. And of course, the rest of the film is great. The action is easily the best in Star Wars. The final battle is unparalleled, both on the ground and in space, and the ending sequence is insane. But what else can I say? The characters are really lovable. There's something great to say about everybody, but I particularly liked director Krennic, as well as the Chirrut and Baze pairing. Krennic is a true believer in his work, and I loved his little personal mission to win back favor with Tarkin and Vader. It gives him a really good sense of purpose besides simply being the bad guy of the movie. He absolutely needs to prove himself and to save face, and you almost feel for him. Chirrut and Baze had a strong sense of presence in this movie too. These two guys lost their purpose to the Empire, and while Baze completely abandons his spirituality, Chirrut holds onto it desperately with his repeated prayers. When Chirrut dies, you can see the belief coming back to Baze, and he has a really powerful moment as he echoes Chirrut's prayers in a completely serene killing spree. It has its own sense of beauty to it, and it'd be interesting to sometime in the future explore the common man's connection to the Force a little more. Of course, there's something to be addressed with the characters, and that's, well, everybody dies. And I know a lot of fans called this a long time before the movie was released, but it's still pretty surprising and really commendable that the creators had the courage to pull off an ending like that. I can really only see 2 endings to this movie though. Either everybody survives the mission, or everybody dies. If only a few characters got away, I think it would have cheapened the sacrifice of the other characters. There'd almost be this sense of survivor's guilt for the audience. Why did these characters live when those characters were killed? If Jyn and Cassian were rescued off the beach, what really makes them more valuable than the other nameless rebel soldiers that were killed making their mission possible? The fact that nobody gets off the surface is actually really meaningful. The rebels are all prepared to sacrifice everything for their cause, and being so-called important to the plot doesn't make you exempt from that sacrifice. Everybody involved is an equal, and there's no plot armor in real life. I could go on and on about different aspects of Rogue One. The visuals were incredible, the costuming was perfect, and the music brilliantly rode the line between gritty war film and retro adventure. All that to say, the loving craftsmanship of this movie is as good as it can possibly be, and the film as a whole is, while not perfect, certainly worthy of the Star Wars name and something I'll watch again and again. What did you think about Rogue One? Was it everything you hoped for, or was it a letdown? Let me know. If you liked this video, I do lots of reviews and retrospectives on Star Wars and more, so make sure to subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, check me out on Patreon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.